Thanks for clicking on Wayne.com for this week's edition of Inside the Zone. Blake Sebring from the News Sentinel, fresh off the press. We have news.
I wish.
We have news today about the suspension regarding Denis Kravchenko. He's suspended 5 games. Daniel Maggio suspended 3 games for the pregame fracas Sunday nights in Colorado.
And both teams and the coaches and the players, they were all substantially fined. I mean,
substantially fined.
Like, this is going to hurt.
Okay, so now Colorado, the players involved for Colorado also got suspended equally, 5 games,
yeah.
3 games for the 2 guys that tussled with Maggio and also tussled in that Kravchenko fight. But going forward, how do these suspensions affect the series? And are you surprised at all by the length or the way that they've been implemented?
I'm a little surprised that all 4 players, if this series goes 7 games, could come back to the series. I really thought they'd ditch them. That's it. You're done. Period. Mm-hmm. Next series, maybe, if they get there. I really thought that would happen.
What are you surprised that Maggio was allowed to play on Sunday night? Because
the reason he was
he had a huge power play goal.
Right. And so did Rattel, though, the guy he fought.
That's true.
So it evened out. The reason they were is because the man making the decisions for the ECHL didn't see that part of the tape until after the game started. That's why.
Okay.
But he knew the ECHL supervisor of officials made the call on Kravchenko and Gabriel Verplast.
How much bad blood is there then between these 2 teams? I know we're only 2 games in and they played each other only once in the regular season way back in November, so it's not like the Toledo series where there's a lot of vitriol. Familiarity breeds contempt, if you will. These guys don't see each other very often. Obviously, it's high stakes, though. So how much true bad blood back and forth is there? And is this a single instance of dislike between 2 players, or is it something we're going to see a contentious series overall as we go along?
Well, if something else happens like this, the suspensions are going to be even worse.
Magnified.
They're going to be, I mean, they may not get to play the rest of the playoffs, period. And both teams are kind of shorthanded right now. Neither team should have to play shorthanded in either of the games, but you can't lose quality players at this point and not get hurt, okay? The league, there is a way that the league allows teams to alter their salary caps so they can work everything out, okay? So they will both be full squads on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday.
One of the players that the Komets are getting back, Trevor Cheek.
Yes.
Talk about what his addition means. How does it affect what the Komets are going to try to do going forward?
One of the things you'll love about Cheeker, and he's come back and forth several times during his career in Fort Wayne. And the thing that you got to love about Cheeker is he always comes back hard. He's not one of these guys that takes him 2 weeks to get his head around. I just got released. You know, I mean, he comes back full steam ahead. And he's excited to come back. I talked to him the other day. He's always been part of the Komets group chats and stuff, even when he was in Tucson, and he's just excited to come back and play. He'll get in tonight a couple hours after the team gets back from Colorado, and I guarantee you they'll be having fun tonight, all the gang, and then they'll go to practice in the morning.
He'll blend right in.
Oh, perfectly.
As far as this team goes, let's kind of rewind and talk about what we learned in Game 1 and Game 2. What do you take away from those 2 games? One of the things, I mean, there was 2 power play goals for the Komets in each game. I mean, they've got 5 goals in this series. 4 of them are on the power play. 2 of them coming from Maggio.
Right. The thing of it is, I look for Cody to get some power play time up front again, like he did against Toledo in the game when Maggio was out. Right now, Colorado doesn't have the defenseman on the penalty kill to handle 2 big guys like Thompson and Maggio together. That's been really, really effective. So maybe see Cody go up there. The other thing I was so impressed with this. How many times over the last 5 years have we talked about how they got to be more disciplined? They can't take so many penalties. They can't blah, 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 blah. That was the most disciplined game I've seen the Komets play in the playoffs in 5 years probably yesterday. Because after all the altercations and stuff, and it wasn't like they played soft either. This was a very physical game, and they were still banging, but they were really smart, and they let Colorado take the penalties, and they got 8 power plays, and Colorado got 4. They played really smart. They stayed out of the box. That was huge. That's going to be even more critical on Wednesday night because you know Colorado's coming hard. They're going to come back and try to regain the home ice advantage right away. I expect Wednesday night to be the best game we've seen in the playoffs all year, and probably the best game of the year so far, period. Because whoever wins that game is going to have a big advantage the rest of the way.
A huge leg up as far as the series is unfolding. How do you think they played more disciplined in terms of, did they focus more? Was it just an execution thing? Is it, I mean, Gary has been harping on that throughout the year. It's not like all of a sudden they just heard that message.
It was almost like they went into the locker room after the fracas and said, okay, now flip the switch. Because you know your inclination is to be, let's go out and kill them.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They played so smart. I mean, they won this game because of their brains and controlling their emotions, which they haven't been able to do that. I mean, we spent whole seasons talking about that.
True.
And they did that. And they're going to need to even do it more on Wednesday because Colorado's going to come right at them. That first 10 minutes is going to be critical. Well, and you know Colorado's going to be banging and trying to take the crowd out of it and get them off their game, the whole bit. They're going to be playing hard that way.
When you take a look at the goaltending situation,
yes,
that's a big question mark for the Komets. Exactly how healthy is Hauser? He's been the guy throughout the playoffs, although Bartas stepped up on Saturday, 19-21, in between the pipes and got the win, played pretty well on Sunday. So what do you take away from the goalies that you've seen, and where are the Komets in terms of goalie situation right now? Health is obviously a big question mark with Hauser.
I don't know. I really don't know, but that's not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, that's not a bad thing at all. And even if they knew, I don't think they'd say right now.
Gary wouldn't.
No, because they don't want Colorado to know. And although Michael Franke has said that he expects Hauser to be able to play on Wednesday, we're going to find out when warm-ups start, I think. I mean, I think that's what it's going to be. You know, I think we're all going to go to practice tomorrow. We're all going to ask, and we're going to get a sly grin and no answer.
Gary, I haven't made that decision yet. We'll make that decision.
Right. But the guys will know. The goalies will know.
Well, how impressive was Bartas' performance in lieu of everything that kind of led up to that game?
How about that he hadn't played in a month?
Yeah.
And then he only faces 5 shots in the first period.
Well, was it April 7th?
Yes.
April 7th was the last time he was in goal?
And then he faces only 5 shots. It's like you can't really loosen up on 5 shots. And they didn't have their regular warm-up, obviously, so, you know.
Things were a little different.
It was a little crazy. But if there's ever a goalie who would handle that, it would be Bartas.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he just...
Yeah, drop of a hat, he's ready.
I mean, Gary told me that he was coming over to the bench saying, great, guys, let's keep it going. I mean, he was really upbeat and complimenting guys. I mean, he's just the perfect guy for that situation. And he played perfectly. I mean, he couldn't have done anything on the 2 goals against him. I mean, they were good, quality, you know, conference final shots, you know.
Well, they have a lot of offensive firepower.
Yeah, they're pretty good, too.
And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about because Michael Joel Lee, hat trick on Saturday, gets shut out on Sunday.
With 1 shot.
What did the Komets do differently? What did you see differently that allowed them to take him out of the game as a factor in terms of scoring goals?
It was funny because somebody asked me yesterday, what defenseman would you put up against him? And I said, I'd put Bobby Shea. He's fast enough. He's physical enough. And not to brag, I'm not bragging, but I mean, they had Bobby Shea and Curtis Leonard out there against him. And then they also had Justin McDonald, who's the defensive ace, and they had Baps, and they had Mags. They had Mags out there, too, with a little bit of Jamie Shaftsma mixed in.
Well, they really focused on taking him out of the game.
It wasn't
saying,
and those
let
guys,
everybody else beat us.
Those guys didn't have any shots on goal. I meant the Komets forwards.
Yeah.
Which you'll trade that for keeping them off the scoreboard any day of the week.
You were in there to put a 0 up on their scoreboard.
You were, and they did that perfectly. And the Komets get the matchup at home now. They get to send whoever out second to match up against whoever they want with Colorado. So that's going to be even more critical. They basically stole that matchup by doing that. You know, I can't tell you. I mean, Justin McDonald is like a revelation. Except he did it every time he played in the regular season, too.
So it shouldn't be a surprise.
It shouldn't be a surprise at all.
But it feels like it is.
But it's like I was teasing Gary after the game in Toledo, game 5. I says, what the heck? How come you didn't play this guy all the time? He goes, yeah, sometimes us coaches don't know as much as we think we do.
Well,
but I mean, it was like, and he knows Justin better than anybody.
Sure.
And
from his SPHL days.
I mean, you look at guys, look at McKiernan yesterday. He was amazing. He was a defenseman who got added to the lineup late because of all the fights, and he was outstanding in that game. He was banging the crap out of their guys because that's what they needed him to do, and that's what he did.
Okay. If you look at the series and the 2 games played in Colorado, you can look at it, the glass half full is you could say the Komets could have easily been 2-0. Could have easily won both those games.
It could have easily been 0-2.
And that the glass half empty.
Isn't that what you want out of a conference finals, though?
Well, as a fan, it's perfect. But where are the Komets in terms of mentality? Because I imagine they think they let Saturday get away from them, but yet bounce back and won at their place in adverse conditions on Sunday. So where are they at in terms of mentality heading into Game 3?
It's kind of funny. You remember how Toledo, they did it the opposite, remember?
Yeah.
They won Game 1 in Toledo, and they really played like crap on Game 2, okay?
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, oh, crap, Toledo's got the momentum back, and then Toledo won Game 3, I think the Komets are feeling much better because of the way they played as a team yesterday. Mm-hmm. That was their best game of the playoffs. I mean, they held Colorado to 20 shots at home. That's ridiculous. That'd be one thing if they did it in Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
But to do that there, you kind of wonder. I mean, it's like, whoa. I mean, the light bulb went on, And it was a physical game, and they stayed out of the box. I mean, it's like there are so many positives coming out of that game. Plus, you got Cheek coming back.
Yeah. I'm wondering, when we talk about in any sport, going out and playing in Denver, going out and playing in the Colorado area, you talk about the altitude and having to adjust. Do you think that the Komets, that had any effect on the Komets? Or is that just something that we like to talk about in the media, and they just say, well, they've got to play in those conditions too, even though they're more used to them?
I think it had an effect.
It's just a talking point. You think so?
I do think it had an effect, especially in Game 1. I mean, end of the second period, I felt like they ran out of gas a little.
Yeah, they were gassed.
And I thought end of the third period too. I thought, you remember, because Colorado had the momentum. They were bouncing, and they were pressuring the zone and
doing his thing.
Yes, and I don't know that they recovered in time for that for overtime. But I felt like Sunday they kept the game simple. They really did. They followed their game plan perfectly. That was the perfect road game to play, where you just control the puck, frustrate the other guys, take what they give you, and make the most of it. And they really did. They really didn't let Colorado get going. Now, part of that is J.C. Bedin, their leading scorer, didn't play. He's got an upper body injury, which makes you wonder if he's got a concussion.
Right. 4 or 5 goals on the power play. What can the Komets do offensively, 5-on-5, in games 3, 4, 5, that can allow them to be a little bit more productive? Because I know, Gary, these games are defensively tighter than what we see in the regular season, but I know he wants to see a little bit more scoring from them 5-on-5.
I think you'll see a little bit more relaxed with that. Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, though, folks, man, the Komets are so beat up. It's unbelievable. I mean, this reminds me of 1991 when the Vagabond guys, every game, it was just ice bag after ice bag after ice bag. And it's just because they're playing so darn hard. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if they need some help that way. They need Trevor to come in and play really well. They need Artie to step up his game about 10 degrees. They need some help. They need some of these other guys to keep playing the way they are, because it's amazing they're accomplishing what they are.
Wednesday, Friday, Saturday at the Coliseum. We always talk about the first 10 minutes of the first period. What are you looking to see out of this team early Wednesday, where you get the feeling that they can finish off this series in those 3 games?
I don't count on that at all. I actually don't count on that at all.
Yeah.
Because home ice advantage doesn't mean as much in hockey as it does everywhere else. In fact, the road teams have more.
We spend so much time talking about home ice advantage.
The road teams have like 5 more wins so far in the playoffs than the home teams. The other series is 1-1 too. I mean, look at Washington, what they did with Tampa Bay. If they play like they did Sunday night, they're fine. Okay, just worry about that. Don't even look past that. Colorado's a great team. I mean, they are the defending champs, and
there's a reason for it.
They really are. I mean, they are exceptional, and they do have all that experience. And Kanata is just amazingly good. He beat out the guy who won the cup last year. How good do you have to be to do that? You know?
To put that guy on the bench.
It's amazing. But one thing to watch for: the Komets got to get guys in front, because they got to get Kanata back on his line. Don't let him come out and challenge shooters, just like Toledo tried to do with Hauser.
Yeah, cut off the angles.
Yes, just like Toledo tried to do with Hauser. And again, 3 goals yesterday, all pretty much in the paint. I mean, that's where the Komets are winning these series. They're getting the greasy, grimy, gritty goals.
Yeah, that's
the
what
ugly
Gary loves
goals.
to
I
say.
mean, the ugly goals that are so beautiful.
All right. Final question as we go forward. Game 3. What tactically do you think is going to be different? Because Gary's obviously going to these are 2 coaches that are veteran coaches.
Yeah.
They know how to play. They know how to play the chess game. So what tactically do you think will be different than we saw in Colorado in games 1 and 2?
All right. The referees are going to be told, I want to call everything. Call it tight. Call everything. It's going to be who's the most disciplined, who stays out of the box. Because Colorado's going to come back hard, and they're going to try to initiate things. And the Komets have been initiating stuff, too. They're no angels either, okay? But it's going to be that. And it's going to be just stick to the system, really. I don't care if the Komets give up 45 shots, if they give them up like they've been giving up to Toledo and Colorado, where it's all perimeter and the goalie can see it and all that. Make it ugly. Make it ugly hockey, simple hockey. Make it simple. They call it fundamentals because it makes the game easier for you to play. Mm-hmm. Stick to that. Make it easy. Up along the boards, whatever. Just play.
Yep. Well, they will play Wednesday, Friday,
I expect a lot of 5-on-5
Saturday.
in this game. I really do, because I think the refs are going to call 3 penalties early, bang, 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 to calm things down.
Get it under control.
Yep, and then it's going to be 5-on-5. I really do.
It should be very entertaining hockey here at the Coliseum this week. We'll be back next Monday to talk about Colorado versus the Komets in this Western Conference Finals best-of-7 series. But for now, he's Blake. I'm Glenn. We'll see you next Monday on Inside the Zone.
Best game of the year's coming.
Boom.